In a world where the new norm of game prices is $70, it's rare to see the consumer be thrown a bone in terms of prices, except for on Steam with their goated sales. I'd argue there are a lot of games boasting the higher price tag that do actually deserve it. Inflation has gone up, and we had $60 games for over a decade, essentially meaning throughout that time, the price just kept going down. Donkey Kong Bonanza is $70, and it's probably the best 3D platformer I've ever played in my little chud life. But regardless of how worth it some of these games may be, $70 is still $70, and that is a lot of money to spend on a video game. That's where VR comes in, usually offering at least AA studio quality for cheaper than it would be on a flat screen. Here's Half-Life Alyx though, and this is a big, full AAA experience built solely for VR and releasing pretty much right as the $70 game trend started, but Valve kept the price to a more than fair $60. Here's Batman Arkham Shadow, another big full experience that I'd easily consider a full title worthy of a full price. But the game is only $50, which is $20 less than the $70 norm. These two games are absolute bang for your buck titles that can help people feel better about spending a bunch of money on a shiny new VR headset because, hey, at least the games for it are a bit cheaper than regular games. These prices definitely don't apply to all games though. Here's Pixel Ripped 1995, an incredible and unique game that does a lot of creative things throughout the whole experience, and it's just straight up a blast. But it's $20, which on paper seems fine, but the game is only 2 hours long, so saying it's fun the whole way through is like saying a trailer doesn't have any dull moments. I'd fucking hope a 2-minute trailer wouldn't have a dull moment. If this game was $10, I'd say this is an awesome little experience, but for $20, it feels like they're really trying to take advantage of the fact that there's not many VR games at all. It's also just long enough to not be refundable on Steam. I see you, Pixel Rip team. Your game is awesome, but you're not slick. But minus some outliers, overall game prices are really good. Boneworks is $30 at the time of recording. It's a little confusing if that price is intended to go up or down after the Marrow 2 update, but as of right now, it's $30 and is easily worth that price. Deadpool is $50, which when compared to Batman doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but if this game was made for a flat screen, it would have easily been sold for either $60 or $70. Ancient Dungeon is a full awesome roguelike that still gets updates and even got a multiplayer update for completely free, with the game only being $20. Contractors is an insanely replayable shooter for $20. Arizona Sunshine 2 is a full campaign experience for $40. You get the idea. VR game prices are usually pretty awesome and give the buyer a lot of bang for their buck. But there is a whole nother market of VR game pricing, one pretty notorious for being the hotspot for Quest players. These are the free-to-play titles. These are games like Rec Room, Gorilla Tag, Animal Company, and I guess Downshot VR or some bullshit. All of these games have two things in common. One, that they're completely free, and two, that they're completely filled with pretty much exclusively kids. These games mainly appeal to a younger audience and an older audience who is sexually attracted to a younger audience, mainly because anyone with a headset can jump in without needing mommy's credit card, and these games are usually much more colorful in style and appeals to that sort of childlike audience. Although definitely the main factor that leads to the little Timmy player base is the price or lack thereof. VR Chat is a free-to-play game aimed at an older audience, but due to the fact that it's free, it can be a daycare at times. VR Chat has tried combating this with things like age verification, which requires a paid subscription as of now, but the average experience playing in a free public lobby is an almost guaranteed chance that Robert, who just got home from school, is in the lobby with you. Back on the main topic though, these games obviously are free to play, so they resort to things like microtransactions to be profitable, with the first VR unicorn being Rec Room, which is really impressive until you think about the fact that right now, Rec Room's current state is that they fired around 141 people because they couldn't afford to keep them on the team. These microtransactions can be extremely profitable, with free-to-play titles usually topping the Quest's revenue charts at all times. Fortnite? We briefly touched upon it earlier, but just because most VR games are worth the price, that doesn't mean all of them are. Who the fuck let Bone Lab sell for 40 bucks? The game is insanely replayable due to mods, the physics system, and Marrow feels incredible, but the actual content of the game itself is sorely lacking. The campaign is just bad, and at launch the game was absolutely filled with bugs. Nowadays, due to mods, Bone Lab can absolutely be worth the price if you're the type of person to experiment with them and have your own fun that way, but on its own this price is a bit insane considering the previous game, Boneworks, had a full fun campaign with the physics engine for $10 less. With Bone Lab, you're essentially paying for access to the incredible mod library, which in that instance is worth it, but without it, if you just want to play the campaign, $40 is crazy. Beat Saber on its own is a good price, but all of the DLC can cost $100 plus. That's a lot, and I'm gonna be so honest, I have all the Beat Saber DLC. I did not pay for it. Look, to play in a multiplayer lobby of Beat Saber, you can't play songs you don't own. So everyone has to have the same DLC, which is statistically impossible. And I don't want to be the one guy who's missing the random BTS song from 2016 that I would never pay for. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter all that much though, because who the fuck is playing unmodded Beat Saber with no custom songs? Except for Robert, who can't figure out how to set up side quest on his Quest 2 that he got for Christmas. Poor soul. So some VR games are overpriced, most are really well priced, some are free, Fortnite, and some are Beat Saber with DLC that will put you in debt. But for the most part, these prices are quite good. So why is that? Why is it that VR games can usually be so much cheaper? Well, unfortunately, it seems to be the same reason Nintendo gave crazy discounts on Wii U games back in the day. The same reason the company that made Deadpool got shut down. The same reason you see games that do poorly go on sale all the time. It's because these games are a hard sell. VR is a niche market, especially when compared to regular flat games, so the pool of potential buyers is significantly smaller. It's also why you don't see AAA studios bet on VR. It's just not very profitable compared to flat games. Look at Twisted Pixel. They just made Deadpool VR, a really great VR game that is contentful and a great game in pretty much every aspect that should have sold well. It must not have sold that well though, because Meta shut down the studio. The studio that made the Resident Evil 4 VR port, they got shut down as well, and apparently some people who worked at Camouflage, the developers of one of the best VR games of all time, Batman Arkham Shadow, also got fired. It's not that these games didn't sell well in comparison to other VR games, or that there was anything wrong with these games at all. The problem is that VR as a whole is a pretty niche subsection of players, which means the pool of potential buyers is so much more limited. VR is unfortunately not a very thriving market right now, and it leads to better prices for us, but that's only because of the worst sales for developers. I can't even think of a single AAA VR game in development right now, or even think about a studio that would be willing to do that again other than probably Valve. VR has a lack of big AAA games because of a lack of VR players. But we have a lack of VR players because of the lack of big AAA games. We need a bigger library of VR exclusive to convince people that buying a headset is worth it. And it seemed like Meta was going to be the ones to break that ice with Batman, Deadpool, and Resident Evil, but now, with all of the layoffs going around, we're either going to need another company to step up, or for Valve to decide to make big VR games that will make the majority feel like a headset is a must-have system for playing those games that only work in VR. It sucks, and I of course do still believe that one day, enough people will actively enjoy VR for profitable games to be an option for lots of devs. But as of right now, it seems like only a handful of developers have the privilege of being able to make VR games worth the risk, and that sucks. At the very least for us right now though, we can still take advantage of those nicer prices. And if you want to get even more money chipped off of your purchases, you can use the link in the description to get 10% off any game on the Quest store. It's the best way to support me, and if you're gonna buy a game, you might as well take advantage of getting it for cheaper. If you like this video and want to watch a similar one, you can check out another one I did about why base stations died, or rather why they're going to die out. It's a pretty interesting video, I worked really hard on it, and it's a lot like this one, so hopefully you go and enjoy that. Thank you so much for watching this video though, and I will catch you in the next time, fat bitches. Bye-bye.